Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So today I want to talk about beauty enhancements and my thoughts on them, and also my own internalized beauty standard, how I was able to determine what my internal beauty standard is, and how you can do it too. So, one thing that I have noticed is that when it comes to beauty standards, first of all, some people get very butthurt if your beauty standard is not them. I've noticed some people take it as you must be a colorist, racist, texturist, featurist, whatever. And it's like, no, just because my internal beauty standard for what I think is the most beautiful for myself is not you, it doesn't mean I think you're ugly. And so the first thing I will say is when it comes to internal beauty standards, I don't tell anybody what my beauty standard is. It's no one's business what my internal beauty standard is. Well, I'll tell you guys because like who cares? You guys don't know who I am. So one mistake that a lot of women make is they will try to project their internal beauty standard onto someone else, and they don't realize that that's what they're doing. And this is why so many women will say, "Oh, so and so wants to look like me," or "So and so, she thinks that I'm beautiful." Because remember that the things that you wear, especially when you're dressing up, like how you do your makeup, how you do your hair and stuff, that tells the world, it tells society what your beauty standard is. If when you go to a wedding, if you wear your hair curled, that means that you associate curled hair with formal events. And by the way, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of this. But the first thing that I had to learn in order to take ownership over my own beauty was to realize that beauty is extremely subjective. Everybody has a different internal beauty standard. Some people have one beauty standard as far as what they want to look like, and others have a beauty standard for what they want to date. So I've learned to not allow those things to affect my sense of self. Also, another thing that helped me to determine what my beauty standard is for myself was thinking about my goals. If I looked perfect tomorrow, like I had no flaws, eyebrows are perfect, eyes are perfect, hair is perfect, body's perfect. If I looked drop dead gorgeous, perfect, I felt like I was a 10 out of 10 tomorrow, what would I do? What would I pursue? How would I behave? Would my life begin to change? Because that's going to actually give you a clue as to what your beauty standards are. I've noticed that for a lot of women, they will say, I would become an actress. Okay, so that means that your beauty standards are influenced by actresses. That's not a bad thing, but that, like, knowing what your beauty goals are or like what field you would go into with your beauty, that helps point you in the direction of what your internalized beauty standard is and where it came from. For other people, they will say things like, I want to be beautiful so that I can attract a man. Okay, that points you in the direction to where your beauty standard came from or what influences your beauty standard, and that's men. Some women will say it's going to make me look more professional at work, or I can like have more social power. Okay, so that tells you that the kind of the professional settings that has influenced your internal beauty standards. So none of these influences are bad if you don't let them be bad. And the way that I like to think of it for me is my beauty is not me. I am not defined as a human being simply based on my beauty. And so that's why I personally don't get offended if somebody is like, I prefer blondes or I prefer ratchet women or I prefer a big woman. I don't get offended because my self-esteem was never defined upon my beauty. The way that I view myself is my body is like a canvas. It's like a blank canvas. It's like a blank slate. So whatever I am naturally, that is my blank canvas. And I can choose to do whatever I want with my blank canvas. I can paint it a different color. I can put red on it, like a red lipstick or something. I can I don't know, I can darken it or brighten it. I can do whatever I want with it to make it into whatever my own concept of a masterpiece is. So that was another thing that helped me to accept what my internal beauty standard is. Another thing that I had to realize about myself is my internal beauty standards may change. And so this actually helped me to realize why, even though I'm pro plastic surgery, when it comes to something that is like very irreversible, for example, people who get their noses done, I think you can only get it done so many times. And then after that, it's like they literally can't do anything else. So I know that my internal beauty standards change every few years. And so when it comes to being a candidate for plastic surgery for me, I know that if I were to follow all of the trends and stuff, I would probably be dissatisfied because if it's something permanent that I can't change, then I'm going to feel like, wow, I'm screwed. Like I just have a Michael Jackson nose now. So that's another thing that I have thought about. And also, like recognizing the influences of your beauty standard. Another way you can do that is by asking yourself, who do I think is the most beautiful girl in the world? I know there's no such thing, but like if I had to think of the women that I think are most pretty, what do they look like? Are they women in my family? Are they actresses? Like, what do they all have in common? Are they all actresses? Do they all look young? Do they all have the same skin tone? Do they all have the same eye color? Because that's going to help me to recognize what my beauty standards are. So if I had to think of what I think some of the prettiest women in the world, I think of Aaliyah, I think of Sade. Who else am I thinking of? I think of Beyonce. I think of Bianca Lawson. These are just some women that I think of as far as actresses go. I'm not saying that other women are like not pretty or not as pretty as them, but by naming those five women, I just kind of gave you a clue as to what my personal internal beauty standard is. I noticed that I do seem to prefer a certain skin tone on myself or a certain skin tone range on myself. I mean, I was already born with a lighter skin tone, but I've noticed that okay, it seems like that seems to be kind of my beauty standard for myself, or I kind of like that look, kind of like the tan to light brown skin tone, usually darker hair, but sometimes I can do highlights. So you want to think of whoever the prettiest women are that you can think of, and then think of all of their similarities and all of their differences. So the fact that I named women who have different hair colors or women who have worn different hair colors, that shows that I kind of, when it comes to hair color, I don't really care so much what my hair color is. And so this gives me a clue that, hey, I don't necessarily need to permanently dye my hair because I don't have one hair color beauty standard. I've noticed that that part of it is more fluid. So you want to decide like what parts of my beauty standard are fluid, like I can change it, no problem. And then what parts of my beauty standard are more permanent. So for example, another thing that I found in common with these women is they are all thin. They're all thin with either a very, very slim body or with maybe an hourglass body at the biggest. If I were to can be if I were to be completely honest, I would say that not all of these women fit what my standards are for like a body type. I guess I was just thinking of faces just a minute ago when I was talking about what faces I think are like very pretty. So now I'm going to break it down into body type. And the way you can do this for yourself is think of the top five women or whatever that you know who you feel have the best body. It could be a celebrity person, it could be a fitness trainer, it could be someone you know personally. I guess what I think of is the Asian. I'm thinking of the girls, the kawaii fashion style. I'm thinking of that body type. I'm thinking of the skinny aesthetic. I've noticed that is my like preferred body type for myself. So that points you to what my internalized beauty standard is for me. It has been influenced by the Asian fashion scene. I think that body type is very feminine and very pretty, and I love how baggy clothes kind of hang on that body type. So that's giving me a clue as to what my internal standards are when it comes to body type. So my natural body shape is more like how maybe Beyonce's is. I have like the hourglass Coke bottle shape. So I can get skinny. Like I used to be extremely, extremely skinny like in college, but now I'm more size medium. So I'm just regular average weight. And so I'm able to admit to myself, hey, even though I'm average weight, like I do love my body still, I wear what I want, but I think that more of this kawaii body shape would look better on me. And so I noticed that. So, by the way, I'm going to be getting my first plastic surgery this summer. I will be getting something done to my body. It's not a BBL. But one thing I noticed, well, it's my boobs. I'm getting them small and lifted. So, one thing I noticed is when I told my friends and family, like, yeah, that's what I'm doing, everybody for years, like, I wanted to do it ever since my 20s because I felt like my boobs and butt in particular were not quite meeting my exact standard for myself. And so it took me about 10 years to decide, like, okay, I'm just going to like get a surgery basically. But when it comes to plastic surgeries, first of all, this will be my first time getting one, but I don't take it lightly because I've noticed that I don't really like permanent life changing decisions that are irreversible. Just in general, I'm just not a big fan of stuff like that. In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm not a big fan of signing a marriage contract and then you can't reverse it, or it's difficult to get out of, or like having a child and you can't reverse that. So I'm not a huge fan of permanent changes. And so the way that I decided on whether or not I wanted to change my body to fit my internal beauty standard was, so I started off by, when I was in my early 20s, I started off by just going on a fitness journey, just, losing as much weight as possible, just seeing what would my body look like as a size 0. So I got all the way down to a 0 and I was able to see what I looked like. I did enjoy it. But my boobs, they did go down. Like the rest of my body went down, but I still had like little boobies, like cleavage, kind of like a Victoria's Secret model or something with like a boob job. And so I know that a lot of people like that, but that's just not my body goal. So I was like, okay, this is better, but it's not quite what I wanted. But I still didn't like jump and try to get a surgery or anything. And so then as time went on, now I'm 32, so it's been almost 10 years since then. Last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to just try to purchase certain tops that like flatter my chest or whatever, that don't make it like have cleavage. That's the part that I don't like about it. So that's another thing. It's being able to pinpoint what I don't really like as much. And when I say I dislike it, I'm not saying, oh my God, I hate myself. Oh, I hate this. No, it's more like, it just doesn't go with the aesthetic of what I'm trying to do. I don't want to look sexy all the time. I don't want to look like I'm trying to show my boobs all the time. I don't want to have kind of a porn star look all the time. So one of the ways that I tried to change it naturally was I purchased a bunch of shirts. I literally spent $500 on like Fashion Nova and Shein. So yeah, you can talk your shit. Like Fashion Nova and Shein, those are not good quality places to get clothes. But I remember buying all these different shirts and the shirts fit, but it still had that look of like having the cleavage. And so then after that, I tried to invest in really good bras. So I did like this financial like investment of around the same amount, maybe not quite 500, but like $400 in all the different bras, halter bras, strapless bras. I went on Amazon, I looked up all the great reviews. I would get the straps that are clear and see-through. I got like the double straps. I would get like the boob tape. So I got all of those things because I was like, maybe it's just my bra or I can achieve the exact look I want with a certain bra. And the bras were not bad. I would say it was like about the same as the shirt. So it didn't look bad, but then it also did not like give me the type of satisfaction that I wanted. So then finally last year, so one of my friends, by the way, she has the same body type as me, a slim hourglass. She has like D-cup boobs as well. And she just wears whatever she wants. She doesn't wear a bra. She will wear a strapless. She will wear a little triangle bikini. And I was talking to her and I was like, how do you know what to wear? Like, how do you get yourself to look so good, like with your body and everything? And she was like, oh, I just said, fuck it, basically. So I just wear what I want. So I don't measure. Like she said, she doesn't even know her bra size. So her boobs actually could be bigger than mine. So she doesn't know her bra size. She just wears whatever she wants. And so I did that. Like last summer, I was like, okay, I'm just going to like try to embrace this and just wear whatever I want. So if I want to go braless, I would go braless. I will say going braless, it did solve a part of the problem. So there were some of those shirts from like Shein and stuff where it didn't look good when I tried to put on like the little strapless bras and stuff. But when I went with no bra and I just put my boobs in the parts of the shirt, like in the cups of the shirt, I still had a little bit of cleavage, but because my boobs were not quite as lifted, it was able to kind of like not have as much volume. So that was cool, or a cool discovery. But that still did not give me the type of, I still didn't feel like I was meeting my own internal beauty standard. And I also remember my friends and family saying, but guys like that. Like part of the reason that I kept my boobs for so long is because everybody would like rave over my body. They'd be like, you have a perfect body shape. Like no matter how skinny you get, you still have little boobs and a little booty. And then people would say, oh, I like, guys like boobs. And even guys in my life would be like, oh, I love boobs. Like that looks great. Like that's one of the features I like about you. And I just want to be clear, when it came to my boobs, I do not hate my boobs. I still wear bra tops or whatever. I can hide my cleavage if I really want to. It just takes more time and effort that I don't like. And also when it came to working out and stuff, it would be sweaty. I don't like that sweat part of like having boobs. But anyway, so I had actually not met my internal beauty standard because of the male gaze. So people were saying, oh, you meet the male gaze beauty standard of the hourglass Coke bottle shape. And so you should keep that because men like it. But as I went on my Decentering Men journey, I realized, well, it's not, if I don't like it or if I like something else better, who cares what this man likes? Like, why should I keep my body a certain way just because men really like that. Like, just because men really like big butts, that doesn't mean I want to have a big butt, because that's another part of my beauty standard is just I like to be slim all around. So very small boobs, very small butt, very small waist, small hands, small arms, small neck, everything is small. And so I don't really care if guys don't like that. Like, if I'm super skinny and then guys say she's too skinny, I don't care, because I would still feel happy when it's like within myself, because I'm meeting my own internal beauty standard as opposed to my beauty standard being based on guys. But I would say if your beauty standard is based on the male gaze, maybe that would be satisfying for you to know that, oh yeah, guys like that I have this body shape. But for me, I really don't care. So what made me decide to get the surgery was I calculated the actual amount of money I had spent trying to get my boobs in particular to look like perfect for me, or to look like my internal beauty standard. Because remember, the way that I do my beauty standard is I like to go feature by feature, because there actually is no woman out there in this world that I think is just perfect. Like, she has perfect eyebrows, perfect nose, perfect lips, perfect body, and it all meets my beauty standard perfectly. No. And so that's why I like to go feature by feature. So anyway, at this time I was focusing on my boobs. And so I was like, I spent almost around basically a few $1,000s on a combination of gym memberships, personal training, fixing my diet, making sure I have the perfect body fat ratio or whatever BMI, all these bras and all these different shirts, all to solve this, when that money could have just gone to a down payment for a quick surgery, and the whole entire problem could be solved within one day. And so that's kind of my thought process when it comes to plastic surgeries. It's never my first option. It's more of a last resort, basically. And when I say last resort, I'm not saying it like I'm desperate to change this thing. Like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to be sad. Because another thing is, when it comes to any beauty enhancement whatsoever, my goal is never perfection. And it took me about almost 30 years to realize that perfection doesn't actually exist. Beauty perfection, it doesn't actually exist. So my goal is, when I go in or when I do a beauty enhancement, whether it's makeup, I don't know, surgery, it could be filler, Botox, whatever I'm trying to do, my goal is never to have a perfect face or perfect nose or whatever. My goal is I just want to look better, or I want to feel better about whatever this thing is. And so I don't like when people try to say, oh, everything comes from within. That's not true. Or at least for me, it's not true. I'm not going to feel as confident if I'm overweight as I do when I'm skinny. So changing my body externally and making it get in shape, that makes me feel better internally. I'm just one of those people, maybe you're not. But the way that I was viewing it is there are certain things where I want to change them externally, or kind of enhance them, or I don't know, make some little tweaks and improvements. And that does make me feel better internally. And my goal is never perfection. My goal is just to feel better. So the way that I do it is I will go feature by feature, and I will rate my happiness with that particular feature on a scale of 1 to 10, from 1 being this is absolute trash, I cannot stand this, I hate this is literally ruining my life. So that's 1, and then scale it up to 10, and 10 is like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, I want to show this off everywhere, I have the perfect abs or nose or whatever it is. So whenever I'm doing a beauty enhancement, my goal is not to go from a 0 to a 10, because I know that the 10, it doesn't exist. But the way that I see it is, if I am like maybe I would say a 7 or above in my happiness and satisfaction, in my opinion, it's not really worth it for me to try to spend money and like do all this effort to try to make it go from a 7 to an 8. So if I already feel like, okay, this is, it doesn't bother me at all, I would say a 5 out of 10 is more like it doesn't hurt me at all, but it also doesn't help me at all. So it's just totally neutral. Anything really above a 5, it's like, okay, it's not perfect, but it's also not, it doesn't bother me. Like, for example, if my eyebrows are a little bit sparse, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, I definitely don't feel like it takes away from my aesthetic, because I don't have a specific aesthetic that I want with my eyebrows. So it's not that big of a deal if my eyebrows are a little bit thin, because I feel like simply putting a little tiny pencil on my eyebrow, it's going to take me from feeling like a 5 to like maybe a 6 or 7 in terms of my satisfaction with it. So that's fine. And when I do my makeup, same thing. Like, I'm not trying to get the perfect face, or like, oh my God, I feel like my face just looks like a Barbie doll right now. No, it's more so, okay, I just want to slightly improve it. That's more of a realistic expectation. I feel like some women, um, the reason that they get upset is because they put unrealistic expectations on an aspect of their beauty. They will say things like, you only got to where you are because you are light skinned. They're saying that because in their minds, light skinned equals beauty so heavily to them to the point where they feel like if you were dark skinned and went from dark skin to light skin, you would go from a 0 to a 10. But I know that that's impossible because there's no such thing as a person who is just perfect in every way or like your beauty suddenly making your life perfect. Now, I would say if you want to go to Hollywood or something like that, or your beauty goals have to do with something where you feel like that skin tone is more favored, then I can see why people would change their skin tones. But other than that, it doesn't even have to be skin tone. It could be anything. It could be boobs, your nose. But generally speaking, you're not going to get a beauty enhancement and suddenly your confidence with that thing goes from a 0 to 10. If your confidence is a 10 after you put on makeup or something, that means that most likely without the makeup, your confidence in that particular thing was probably already a 7 or an 8 or a 9. So, when it comes to beauty affecting your confidence, I really don't think that any enhancement at all is going to give you a drastic change more than maybe about a couple of points when it comes to confidence. So, for me, though, that is worth it to have a couple of points. So, like when it comes to my boobs, I kind of felt like I would say I felt like a 4. So, it was a little bit lower than average. Sometimes I did feel like my cleavage would take away from my outfit or it would distract from my outfit a little bit, or it would kind of like be uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable, like if I'm hot, or sometimes even my back would hurt depending on what kind of bra I'm wearing or like where the tension is on the bra. And so when it comes to the boob thing, the way I was thinking of it is when it comes to a surgery, I know that people will get botched or they might get messed up or whatever, but my goal it's not perfection. My goal is even if I were to go from a 4 to a 6 or from a 4 to a 7, that is fantastic for me. I'm not looking for perfection. I know that that doesn't exist. So I know that depending on how you heal and stuff and how all of the features come together, you're probably never going to think you're like a 10 anyway. So I think, or I mean, your confidence won't be a 10, is what I'm saying, with that particular feature. Because I like to compartmentalize confidence and stuff like that. You might be very confident in your skin tone, but you're not as confident in your weight. So I don't feel like there's a such thing as like, oh, you just have this perfect confidence in every area. There is no such thing because perfection doesn't exist. So therefore, perfect confidence doesn't exist. Perfect self-love does not exist because perfection doesn't exist. But anyway, my views on beauty enhancements are just, am I going to improve my confidence, even if it's just improving it by 1 point? And sometimes when it comes to beauty enhancements, it doesn't always have to be as drastic as surgery. I just use that as an example. But like I said, when it comes to my personal beauty goals, if I ever became rich off this channel, you guys know that I would immediately go into probably some sort of production company. I might as well just be like Issa Rae or Tyler Perry or something like that, where I make movies for us. So that means if I really wanted to, I potentially could. I would be like maybe in front of the camera, or what if I became like famous or something? I don't know. And so I can tell you though that yes, part of my beauty standards are influenced, I would say more so by social media as opposed to Hollywood in particular, because I guess when I think of Hollywood, I tend to think of kind of old Hollywood, kind of Marilyn Monroe, and I guess that's what I think of when people say Hollywood. But I've noticed that another part of my internalized beauty standard is social media. So I've noticed that I like kind of the IG model look or kind of like the Fashion Nova model look. I've noticed that's a look that I like playing around with a lot. So I like to mix kind of the kawaii body type, so this very slim body type, with the clothing from maybe Fashion Nova or Shein or something where it's like a cute little crop top. And I like the look of not the big lashes or anything like that, not that far into it. Like I don't like lashes and baby hairs and big earrings, but I do like kind of the social media beauty, or kind of like I do want my skin to look very smooth in real life. I do want my face to look like I have a filter on it in real life, or like I want to be able to take a picture for Instagram and it looks like I have a filter when I don't have a filter. I don't want to have to face tune the crap out of my pictures in order to look good. So that tells me that a part of my internalized beauty standard, it is social media. So I just told you like three different things that influence my beauty standard. So I named whatever women I felt are the prettiest off the top of my head. I named like a body type that influences my beauty standard, and then I named a an influence that is based on my goals. So my goal is to be successful on social media. Therefore, the social media world influences my beauty standard. So anytime a woman tells you she doesn't feel beautiful, ask her why. And that will tell you where her internal beauty standard came from. Like if she says, I don't feel pretty because guys always choose XYZ, that means her internal beauty standard is based on black men, or it's based on guys on dating apps or whatever. And by the way, I'm not shaming it. There is no wrong answer. It's your body, it's your business, it's your beauty. You can use it however you want. But the way that I view beauty enhancements is I try to fix something with a beauty hobby first. So, like, let's say my skin breaks out. My first option is not to go to a dermatologist. My first option is not to go to a spa and get a facial. My first option would probably be something like getting something from a drugstore, maybe some sort of pimple patch. If that doesn't work, I would try maybe some natural remedies. And then if that doesn't work, I would look into going to a spa to get facials. And then if the facials don't work, then I would go to a dermatologist. So that's kind of how I do my little standards for myself. I always start off by trying to do something small and natural because I've actually been able to prevent from spending a lot of money on beauty enhancements by doing things the natural way. So for some people, let's say you have a double chin, because that is something that would take away from, I believe that that would kind of take away from my beauty standard. My beauty standard is to have one chin. I don't want to have five, six, seven, three chins. No, I just want to have one chin. So I remember when I was feeling bloated and I felt like my chin was kind of fat, like it wasn't quite a double chin, but I felt like from certain angles it would kind of look like a double chin. So the way that I solved it was no, I didn't go to a plastic surgeon to like get them to cut my chin. That wasn't my first option. My first option was let me drink some water, like maybe flush the salt out of my body. Second option is work out. And then if I still feel like I have a double chin, even when I'm like very slim, then I can do, like I've done those rollers, like you know how they have the jade roller or like the rose quartz roller for your skin. I've also done like face cupping and stuff. So all of those things were like natural ways to take my confidence in my chin, like in that particular feature, to take my confidence from a 4 to like a 6.5 or a 7. So I didn't have to go to some plastic surgeon or spend thousands of dollars. Like I have family members who they've gotten like, I think it's called old therapy, where I think they either cut your chin or they suck it out. Basically, it makes the chin fat like go away. Or if your chin sags when you're older, it makes you not have that chin saggy iguana thing anymore. But I will just look at that particular feature and say, hey, how can I improve my double chin? Is this a really big deal to me? Like, is this really affecting my self-esteem? Or is it something where it's kind of neutral? Like the way I feel about my chin is 5 out of 10. I don't believe my chin is like the best chin in the world. Oh my God, my chin is so defined. It's so perfect. Look at these angles. I don't necessarily feel that way, but I also don't feel like it takes away from me. Actually, no, I'll give it a 6 because sometimes I do like my chin from the side or like when I take pictures. I like the chin angle, but I don't feel like it is taking away from my beauty. So that's the way that I view beauty standards and also insecurities. Like you can do this with your physical insecurities as well. What part of your body are you like insecure about? Do you have a stomach pooch? Like I can tell mine because who cares? You guys don't even know who I am. So for me, it is like if I ever have cellulite or I don't like any sort of skin dimpling, like I'm obsessed with skin, like I really am. I don't like skin dimpling. I don't like excessive freckling. I don't like blackheads and like any marks on my skin that does not make me look like butter. It's going to be, I would call it a micro insecurity. So it's not something where it's like, oh, I can't wear shorts because I have these marks on my legs, but it is something to where it's like, I won't feel like it's helping me in any way. So when it comes to my legs, I do feel like the skin on my legs, sometimes I have ingrown hairs or little bumps and like sometimes I can, depending on my weight, like if I get a little bit thicker and I don't lift weights and go running and stuff, then yeah, sometimes I do feel like there could be cellulite from certain angles, depending on how short my shorts are, or if I wear a bikini and I feel like there's kind of a little bit of cellulite like underneath my butt area. That is not, I would say that's a 5 out of 10 for me. So it's not helping me to feel more confident, like, ooh, let me take a picture and show this off. But I also don't feel like it's actively harming me because I feel like cellulite is pretty normal. So that's how I like to examine my features. It's like, how would I rate my confidence with this particular feature on a scale of 0 to 10? So 0 being, I absolutely can't stand this. I hate looking at this every day. And then a 10 being, wow, this is the most perfect thing ever. I have the best eyebrows in the world. So I do that with all my features. So yes, with my skin on my legs, I would say, it could be maybe a 5. So it doesn't take away, like, I don't feel like I have to wear pants when it's 90 degrees, but it also doesn't give to where I'm like, oh, I want to show my legs. I'm showing off my legs. My outfit is accentuating my legs. So that's what I mean when I say insecurity. I've noticed that in the mono black community, any insecurity you have, they automatically label it as self-hate because they don't understand the difference. They don't understand that it's normal to have an insecurity. They think that somehow you're supposed to be 100% confident in everything 100% of the time. I've noticed that there's a big fear of being called insecure in the black community. And so here on this channel, I'm trying to dispel that because that's a very ignorant mindset. But another thing that really helped me with my beauty confidence was it was the whole decentering men thing, going on a journey of decentering men, because it encouraged me to have flat boobs or to get skinnier. Because I know that guys don't really like that. That's not very popular, or I guess it is popular, but maybe not quite as popular for like MLS men, or you know what I mean? Like, not every guy is very into a very, very slim Zendaya body type. So I understand that, but it still makes me feel beautiful. So the decentering men beauty standard, or how I was able to pinpoint what influenced my beauty standard when it came to men, was if men didn't exist, how would I look? So for some of you, your answer is going to be, I wouldn't put any effort into my looks if men didn't exist. So that means that your beauty standards were completely male centered then. And by the way, I'm not shaming anyone, but I'm just saying, if you're the type where if there are not going to be any men around, you don't put any effort into your looks whatsoever, that means that your beauty standards, or the majority of your beauty standards, were male centered. So it's like if you're going to a co-ed space and you want your makeup to be 10 out of 10, but then if it's an all girls hangout, you don't wear any makeup, then yes, that means your beauty standard was male centered. Like I said, not saying anything bad about it. There's no right or wrong answer. And by the way, side note, when it came to bleachers or tanners, people who change their complexion because, that's part of their internal beauty standard, or that's a part of their fluid beauty standard, I've actually been researching bleachers and tanners lately, and like the extreme tanners, not just like an orange self-tan, but like going from white to like my color, basically, kind of going from white to like Beyonce's type of color. So anyway, one thing I've noticed is that when those girls talk about why they change their skin, usually it's because of either men, social media, or Hollywood. Their internal beauty standards are influenced by one or more of those things. Like I said, there is no wrong answer. I myself like the social media beauty. So I am influenced by social media's beauty standards. I am not denying that. Like I said, there is no shame in what you think is beautiful. There's no shame in what your beauty preferences are in yourself. So another thing that helped me to really determine my beauty standard is, first of all, I've noticed that as humans, we tend to look at each other holistically. So like when you look at another person in the grocery store or something, you look at their whole face, you look at their whole body and hair and everything all at once. You're not zoning in on, are their nostrils even, or like, is their chin, do they have a double chin, or like, those aren't things that other people focus on. Those just tend to be the things that we focus on. So knowing that also helped me to accept myself even more and to feel even more confident. It's realizing that, hey, nobody's really looking at if I have a double chin or not. This is me just doing it for myself. Like, nobody can see that I have a teeny tiny smile line or a teeny tiny line next to my eye. People aren't really zoning in to you that much. And so you have to decide, how important is this to me? And so that's why for me, I like to use natural remedies as my first resort, because I honestly don't think that any of my quote unquote insecurities, I don't quite think any of them are strong enough to where I feel like I need to chop myself up and like do all this random stuff, get thousands of surgeries. Because I've noticed that the people who do tend to do more drastic changes, it's because their entire livelihood is dependent upon their beauty, or they want their livelihood to be dependent upon their beauty. They want to actually pursue the beauty industry. So, yeah, like Hollywood or whatever. You want to be a supermodel, you want to be the next famous Fashion Nova model or something. So I can see why those types of girls would invest thousands of dollars in like all these surgeries and stuff. But the way that I see it is, am I going to get kind of a return on this investment? Or like, what is the return on this investment? For example, when it comes to my hair products, this is a part of why I don't go to hair salons. I just do my own hair because it's like, what is the return on the investment of going to a salon? So yes, they might do a good job giving me a silk press or something, but I feel like I don't have anywhere to go to where it's like that important for me to pay for a professional to silk press my hair when I can just press it at home for free. Maybe if I had a special event coming up, like some sort of wedding or something, or if, I don't know, maybe I was like just doing it as a luxury to myself, just for fun, then I would. But other than that, my priority for having that particular hairstyle is not very high. So I guess what I like to ask myself is, what are my beauty priorities? So that's what I want to ask you. What are your beauty priorities? Do you prefer, like, what is the most important part of your beauty? Is it your face? Is it your body shape? Is it your hair length? I'm actually on a hair journey right now. I haven't done a consistent hair journey in a very long time because I just didn't care. But summer's coming up. I am planning on like going swimming and doing different things. And so, yeah, I care a little bit more right now about doing my hair. So that's why I went and bought like some different little deep conditioners for myself, because that is me investing in my beauty. That's me prioritizing a certain aspect of my beauty at this time. And another thing, like another mistake that a lot of women make with their beauty enhancement journey is they put too much pressure on themselves. Think about all the different parts of your body. Think about everything that contributes to your beauty. Hair, skin tone, hair color, hair length, hair cut, hair texture, eye color, how far apart are your eyes, how slanted are your eyes. So that it's going to be overwhelming if you try to like improve everything all in one shot, or if you like try to focus on everything, you're going to find thousands of flaws because you're a human. And so that's why I like to just spend a little bit of time maybe focusing on one thing. So for example, when I was experimenting with different wigs and weaves and stuff, I was focused on the wigs and weaves more than doing all these deep conditioning treatments on my hair every week. Another thing that I've noticed is that sometimes one beauty goal can interfere with another beauty goal. So like last summer, my goal was to go running outside every single day because of like the endorphins, and also because I heard that long distance running, it really helps with like weight loss and stuff. So I was doing all this running. It would be like 90 degrees. It was very dangerous basically. So even though I was like snatched and, it helped me to achieve my fitness goals, it also made me have a beauty setback with other parts of myself. So for example, my feet got messed up. I started getting like corns and like blisters and like marks on my feet. Sometimes my feet would like bleed and stuff from running so many miles. I would get sunburn. I was getting like different random tan lines or freckling. So even though I achieved one beauty goal, which was like to get my fitness on point, it also set me back on another one. And that is normal. So that's something I had to learn. Like, it's normal. Like, if you are focusing on one thing, obviously other things are going to fall by the wayside. That's okay. Another thing that you can ask yourself is, what types of beauty enhancements do I prefer? Do I prefer adding things to myself, adding lashes, adding extensions, adding hair color, adding eyeshadow to my eyes, adding blush to my cheeks? Do I prefer adding things to myself? Do I prefer taking things away? Like, okay, no more wigs, no more makeup, no more nail polishes, no surgeries, no Botox, no fillers, nothing. What are my thoughts on beauty enhancements? That's another thing I had to ask myself. And so I have noticed that I fall somewhere in the middle where it's like, I don't like not having any options for enhancements, but also I don't really like the super far extremes. So for example, when it comes to anti-aging for myself, obviously I've told you guys, when I'm super old, if I need a facelift, I'm going to get a facelift. I'm not going to have the saggy grandma face, but at the same time, I'm also doing things right now to prevent myself from needing some sort of facelift when I get older. I try to do like face cupping and stuff. I also recently started Botox. By the way, I am a stan of Botox. Like, I love it. But anyway, so there are certain things that I am willing to do to prevent those things. Oh, by the way, so when I went to get Botox last week, that was my reward, by the way, for reaching, I think, 16K subscribers or 17K. I just passed one of those. So that was my reward for myself, was I get to go to a spa and pick a treatment that I want, and so I chose Botox. And so it cost $300 because that's what I wanted to get or whatever. That's just how much it cost for me. But this time, when I went to the Botox Med Spa, I actually went to a new place. And so I got a consultation where I just told the lady, hey, I feel like my cheeks are kind of like, they're kind of not sagging, but I don't have wrinkles. Like I still look young, but I don't feel like I look like how I did when I was 22, is all I was trying to say. So I just told her that. And then the lady was like, oh, okay, well, usually we do a little bit of filler if people feel like they have volume loss in their face, because that's kind of how I felt, like I had some sort of volume loss. But also I was running a lot over the past year, so that's pretty common if you do a lot of running. It can make your face a little bit hollow. But anyway, so the lady, she was like looking at my face and she was like, oh yeah, I see that you do have a little bit of cheek volume loss, just a little bit underneath kind of the eye area on your upper cheekbones. And she was like, yeah, usually we do a small amount of cheek filler for that. And she started talking about cheek filler. And I rejected it. Like I said, no, thank you, because filler is going a little bit past my boundaries right now as far as like beauty enhancements. So for some of you guys, you have boundaries for like how far you're willing to go to attain a certain type of beauty. So with my cheeks or whatever, or with my face feeling very lifted and snatched, you know how your face looks when it's in a tight ponytail? That's kind of how I was wanting my face to look, but not doing anything extreme. So the cheek filler, that's a little bit too extreme for me. So I was like, no, thank you. But one thing I thought about though is somebody else might have been offended if she would have said, hey, you've got a little bit of cheek volume loss. Some people, they're so sensitive about their beauty to the point where if a surgeon says, you know, your nostrils are flaring, or I don't know, just if a medical professional calls out a flaw or they suggest a service to you, I notice that some people will get offended by that. And so I would say be mindful of that if you are going into any sort of clinic. But for me personally, I did not get offended by that. I actually appreciated her telling me that because that's what it was. I was like, there's something different about my face, but I don't know what it is. I don't feel like I look old and I don't feel saggy, but I also just don't feel as snatched as how my face used to look. And I don't know what it is. Is it my cheeks? Is it like pre-jowling or something? Did my forehead fall down? You know how like your eyes can begin to droop or something? I was like, is my face drooping? And by the way, I look like a normal human being, but I was just, I was focusing on myself. That was a part of my beauty hobby, was kind of focusing on my face and kind of making it look snatched, but like naturally. And so I was actually glad that the lady told me what it was. It was just a little bit of cheek volume loss. So now I know all I need to do is probably get some collagen from Amazon. So sometimes going to a professional, they can actually look at you or look at your hair color or like, I don't know, whatever you're going for, like the makeup artists and stuff. Sometimes they might be able to give you a suggestion, or even if you don't like their suggestion, you can think about what they said and you can come up with your own alternative. So for me, I'm not into fillers. I have never seen fillers look good. I'm sorry if you have fillers. I'm not trying to say you're ugly or anything. That's just not my personal beauty standard. I'll just say that I don't think they would look good on me. So I think other people, they probably feel good with different fillers, cheek fillers, lip fillers, jaw filler. But for me personally, that's a little bit past what I'm willing to do. So I would rather just like get some collagen powder and I can just drink that in my coffee every morning. And that's what I mean when I say beauty hobbies. So I like to educate myself. The way that I viewed it when I went into that Botox consultation, because I wasn't quite sure what Botox I wanted to get or like how I wanted it to affect my face. So a part of that was like an educational experience. I know that a lot of you guys, let's say you go to a makeup counter and like you don't like the color they matched you with, but sometimes it's just more of an educational experience to where it's like, okay, now I know that sometimes I am perceived as having a golden skin tone. Okay, so maybe next time I come here, maybe I'll try like more of a golden foundation. Or at least that's the way that I see it. Another thing that I've been thinking about is when it comes to my types of beauty enhancements that I like, what is my beauty enhancement personality type? Am I a DIY girl? So I like making my own facials. I like making my own hair masks. Am I a product junkie? So I like to go and buy the face mask. I like to go and buy the new conditioners or buy the makeup. Am I one of those spa and salon girls? So instead of buying the lashes, I will go get my lashes done at a lash place. I will go and get my nails done. Instead of buying the nail products myself, I'll go get them done by a professional. I will go get my wigs done or get my tape-ins and stuff by a professional. Do I like injections like fillers, Botox? I don't know of any other ones, but it's like, am I one of those people? Do I like Eastern medicine? Am I one of those girls that's into like massaging or cupping? Well, I don't know if cupping is Eastern medicine, but it's like, do I like massages like stone massage? Do I like kind of the Asian? Because I've noticed for me, I am influenced by the Asian beauty standards. So I kind of do like some of the stuff that they talk about in Asian culture. I don't know why. It's just once I got into college, I just really got into it because I noticed that a lot of the beauty regimens that they have in those countries really worked well on me. So I noticed that like the K-pop style makeup and all that works well on my face. I noticed that like the different massages, the face massages and stuff. Like I used to do the Chinese spoon massage on my face that worked fabulously on my skin. So is there a certain culture where that culture's beauty standards have influenced you and you like the beauty hacks of that culture? Because think about the different ethnicities and think about the different beauty hacks from those ethnicities and the beauty standards within those groups. So like with African Americans, it's about like having the thicker butt and the small waist, kind of the Coke bottle shape and kind of that BBL body and the laid edges and the baby hairs and the big earrings and kind of like using Jamaican black castor oil and using all these different oils on your hair and doing the shingling method. I associate all of those things with African American beauty standards and African American culture. So is there a particular culture that you like, whether it's your own or someone else's, where you like their beauty hacks, you like their beauty standards? Because I've noticed for me, the Asian culture, it does influence my beauty standards, even though I'm not Asian at all. So like the inversion method, I actually went to the Indian market this past weekend and I got some hair. So by the way, we were talking about like putting eggs and olive oil on our hair for like protein. So I just went to the Indian market and I got this conditioner. I love this brand of conditioner. I'll put it up on the screen. I've only seen it at Indian markets. So I'm assuming it is a part of the culture or maybe it's only sold at those stores. I don't know. But I went and got some of this. It's amazing. I think it's called like Vatika or Vakita. I don't know. But I've noticed that the stuff from the Indian markets, it tends to work really well on my hair because I use the same brand of shampoo, the Vatika. I use that shampoo, I use the deep conditioner, and I also use the Vatika black seed oil on my hair. So for some of you, maybe there's a particular culture or ethnicity where you've noticed that their beauty enhancements, they just happen to work really well on you, or it just happens to look really good when you do that style of makeup on your face. So that's how I feel about beauty enhancements and internalized beauty standards. There is no right or wrong way to do it. And also, as long as you're not projecting your beauty standards onto others, then there's not a problem. I don't like when people try to tell me, you're too skinny, you need to get thicker, you're too this, you're too that. It's like, no, that's your beauty standard. That's your internalized beauty standard for yourself. That's not my beauty standard. Just because you want to have big boobies and a fat booty and you want to have hair down to your ankles, that's fine, but that doesn't mean that I have to do that. But anyway, what do you ladies think? What's your internal beauty standard? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.